Madam Secretary. The danger of ISIS is clearly a major threat to American safety, but personally I know many minorities who are much more concerned with racist attacks at the local level than radical Islamists. So just a question to put it plainly, since often issues of race are tiptoed. Do you believe that white terrorism and extremism is as much a threat to some in this country as something like ISIS?
You know, I think that we have all kinds of threats in our country, and I wouldn't discount any of them. I think we have to take them all seriously. And many of those threats are fueled by the gun violence that we face every single day, where 90 Americans are killed by guns, homicide, suicide, tragic avoidable accidents. So one of the reasons why I'm so adamant and so much in support of President Obama's policies that he's rolled out is I just think as a nation we cannot sit idly by while 33,000 people a year die from gun violence. I also believe that we have to take any form of violence, and particularly organized violence, seriously. So yes, I believe there are all kinds of underground movements and efforts in our country to try to use violence or assert certain beliefs that I find often lead to violence. So let's take you know, some of the white extremism that we see. You know, I remember very well going to Oklahoma City and seeing the ruins of the federal building where, as I recall, 168 Americans, including 19 children, were murdered by a bomb, by a guy who hated the government. That's terrorism as far as I'm concerned. I also think when you have communities terrorized by gangs so that parents are afraid to send their kids out, afraid to go out after school. I remember that beautiful young woman, Hadia Pendleton from Chicago. She performed at President Obama's second inauguration, came home, hanging out with her friends across from her school in Chicago, gets murdered. Stray bullet, intentional bullet, fact is, murdered. I think that when you have police violence that terrorizes communities, that doesn't show the respect that you're supposed to have from protecting people in your authority, that can feel also terrorizing. So there are so many different kinds of potential violent acts, and we have to go after all of them. We have to stop them all. We cannot let anybody live in fear. And it becomes higher profile when it's tied to international terrorism, because that seems like it's coming from the outside and it's, you know, not homegrown. Well, I saw homegrown terrorism in Oklahoma City, and I saw foreign terrorism in New York City, and I saw people grieving over the loss of their loved ones. And at some point, we all have to come together as a country again and stand against violence and do something to get the guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them, no matter who they are.